Rogers. I am Section 106 Coordinator for Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League. And before joining Brittle staff in March of 2017, I volunteered for 2 years working with the residents of the Bent Mountain community in Roanoke County, Virginia, identifying historic resources in the path of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. And as part of that work, which lasted from 2015 through 17, we identified 2 new rural historic districts here in Bent Mountain. And one of them, the Coles Terry Rural Historic District, encompasses the entire eastern face of Poor Mountain here. That's the mountain in the background. The Coles Terry District was approved by the state in 2016. Then in 2017, we identified a second rural historic district in Bent Mountain called the Bent Mountain Orchard Rural Historic District. And between those 2 rural historic districts, which were approved by the state in 2016 and 17, we had nearly 2,000 acres of lands that should have been protected in the planning of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. But what we discovered in this process of working under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act is that under FERC, Section 106 is very, very significantly shortchanged. For one thing, FERC, or Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, very, very deliberately and expertly avoids the involvement of consulting parties in the Section 106 process. And consulting parties are volunteers who are supposed to get involved in the Section 106 process to help identify historic resources potentially harmed, that would be potentially harmed through the construction of a federally licensed project such as the Mountain Valley Pipeline. So FERC does away with this whole idea of consulting parties, and that's just the beginning of how FERC shortchanges the Section 106 process. And after all the work and effort in seeking protection for this historic area that you see here, we learned ultimately in 2017 with the release of the treatment plan for the historic resources crossed by the Mountain Valley Pipeline, that the only thing that would be done was that the project developer, Mountain Valley Pipeline LLC, would pay for certain restoration and other administrative costs to underwrite the creation of National Register nominations for these districts. Well, those National Register nominations are absolutely unnecessary, not helpful, and not what we were seeking when we identified the historic areas. What we really wanted was for them to be avoided in the planning of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. We wanted to see that pipe diverted to avoid them. And that's not what we saw, because FERC has no federal law requiring them to consider avoidance. And in that respect, they are different from Federal Highway Administration, which does have a federal law that requires the consideration of avoidance. And that law is Section 4F of the U.S. Department of Transportation Act. And so we are very interested in engaging in a process to bring to FERC their own version of Section 4F of the U.S. Department of Transportation Act, so that in the future, projects like this, beautiful historic areas such as this, will be avoided in the planning of federal projects such as the Mountain Valley Pipeline. Thank you so much.